Welcome to Parenting Matters Now, a source of parenting advice a few minutes at a time.
How can you have a meaningful conversation with your child? Hi, this is Dr. Roger Smith with Parenting Matters Now. Talking to our children is so important, but oftentimes it's difficult to get into those important conversations or a conversation that has significance. So we don't want to talk about just the big talk, a conversation that is contrived of sorts, but what is a way to connect with your child through words? And I want to give you some pointers. So at the right time, we're going to talk about the 4 rights: the right time, the right situation, the right length, and the right intention. The right time, every child is a little different as far as when they're open to participating in a conversation. And what you don't want is a speech where you're doing all the talking and they are trying to ignore you. Looking for a time where your child can give some attention, or that you can get them to tell what's in their mind. What are they thinking about? What are they feeling? Any number of things. So sometimes some children are better in the morning, some in the evening, but almost all of them are better at bedtime. There are times that your child will be more prone to talk with you. And so look for those times, because conversations are the currency of relationship. And looking to have a good conversation is what is going to build a relationship over time. And so looking for not only the right time, but the right situation. And in fact, driving down the road puts you in what we call shoulder to shoulder position or relationship. And so sometimes those shoulder to shoulder types of situations are where it feels less pressure. You don't have as much pressure to bring up certain subjects or to address. It doesn't feel like a confrontation. It doesn't feel like an attack, but it's where both can talk. So you can be sitting on a pier and looking out over a lake. You can be sitting on a park bench. Some want to talk face to face, but be careful that children oftentimes will talk more whenever they don't feel like they're having to speak into your hearing, so to speak. They're not looking eyeball to eyeball. It may be distracting to them. They may be able to think better and to talk about their feelings more when it's more shoulder to shoulder. So consider riding in the car, doing something side by side, whether it's fishing or some activity or working on something, working on the car, depending on the age of the child. You can have activities that is the right situation. It puts you to where you're not, oh no, I'm getting interrogated by my dad or my mother. It can open up the conversation. Now, the other thing is right length. The younger the child, the shorter conversations are. To them, a 15-second or a 30-second conversation, that still feels like nothing to you, but to them, that's significant amounts of time. So just know that a conversation for the young is much different than a conversation with an 18-year-old. With each stage, they will talk longer, and conversations seem to have the right length. They lengthen as their lives lengthen. And so do not plan to have a 30-minute conversation with a 4-year-old. That's not going to work. And in fact, probably not even with an 18-year-old. But so you have to have proper expectations for the right length, and then the right intention. Your intention has to be to, one, either to know the child or to affirm the child. This is not the kind of conversation where you're going to correct all wrongs. You're not going to use it to try to address some deep, dark subject. That's not the intent of this segment. This is conversations that build a relationship and help you to know one another. So the intention has to be either to affirm them in some way, or to get to know them better, to understand what's going on with them. You've recognized some changes, getting them to talk about it, and you listen when they begin to talk, and to affirm them. Say those words back to them. Now, children want to know something very important. They want to know what you like about them. Those conversations where you're affirming them, telling them the thing that you like about them. Start with one thing, a character, an effort that they've made. It's not that they're pretty. It's not that you like their smarts. They're not working to do that. All right. That's who they are. All right. And it's okay to mention those things, but really what they want to know is, do you recognize that I'm making efforts to grow and to change, to mature, that I'm doing good as far as my effort? So those things, pay attention to that. And they want to know what you think about them. So that's the meat of the conversation, that affirmation part. But here's another thing. Don't expect a response. If you're expecting a response like, oh, you're such a great mom, you're such a great dad, I love you, it is manipulation on our part. And in fact, if we are expecting a certain kind of response, we are not being genuine. You're going to wind up being frustrated with the conversation. So it's simply a giving type of conversation. Give. Those are the significant conversations. So here's a song for you. I'm not going to sing it, but I'm going to refer you to it. It's by Trace Adkins, and the title of the song is Just Fishing. And really, it's just fishing, no G, no G. But he talks about taking his little girl fishing, and she had her little pink rod and reel, and they were in the boat, and it talked about they were throwing back things that they could fry, and he said, but the message was, there's a whole lot more going on right here than just fishing. And that's what happens, is that all along the way, you have these little conversations, and he was trying to say to her, I love you. And he would say, honey, I love you. And she'd say, I know, I think I have a bite. And that was the conversation. Just a few seconds. It can be significant. So learn to take advantage of the right time, the right situation, the right length, and the right intention. It's Dr. Roger Smith of Parenting Matters Now.
Subscribe to Parenting Matters Now for more advice, or go to rogersmithmd.com to search for more topics. See you next time.